Why do people react badly or overreact in situations? Let's talk about it. Neuroscientist Joe Dispenza, doctor, tells us that the brain processes 400 billion bits of information a second. Let me repeat that. Dr. Joe Dispenza, neuroscientist, tells us the brain processes 400 billion bits of information a second. There's a lot going on up there. However, out of those 400 billion bits of information a second, we are only aware of 2,000 of them. We are aware every second of 2,000 bits of information that's being processed in our mind out of 400 billion bits of information a second. So there's a lot going on in your mind every second. And now that you know that, you can't unknow it. Let's talk about these bits of information that are already stored in the mind. A file, you could say, like a computer. Every experience we've ever had in our life, think about this. Every experience you've ever had in your life is stored in your mind. When you're in line at the supermarket and somebody pushes into you their cart, you've had that experience. Somebody pushed a cart into your back end in a line when you're checking out at the supermarket. What happens next? What happens next is all the previous events of someone pushing their cart into you from behind start to play in your mind like a video. Why then do some people react badly to that or overreact, and some people don't? If you're the type of person who holds on to resentments, or you're the type of person who gets offended easily, when these new situations arise, you will react badly to them or overreact. The same could be said about people who play the victim card constantly. In other words, they don't take responsibility for actions in their lives, and they tend to blame somebody else for all their problems. When you're in that mode and a new situation arises and you have a negative experience, you may not be conscious of it. However, every experience similar to that is played like a video in your mind. What you've done is, over the years, wired your brain to react badly, to overreact in these situations. I often talk on videos about having a spiritual awakening, which is described in the AA Big Book as a profound personality change or a psychic change. ideas, concepts, and motives that was once the guiding force are cast aside, and new methods and ideas are adopted. In other words, you come to a point where you realize why you react badly or overreact, and you decide to change. It's not a quick way to resolve that way of thinking. It takes a little bit of time. But it's not going to happen unless we put new data up here in the mind. New information. And rewire the brain. Have you ever heard someone say you are what you think? Neuroscience tells us this about that statement. When we have a thought, it is turned into, if you will, without getting into the process, the scientific explanation, when we have a thought, it's turned into a chemical, and the hypothalamus pumps that chemical, that thought, into our body, into the bloodstream. Every cell has thousands of receptors like this. So that thought, that chemical thought, is going through your bloodstream, goes into those receptors of the cell and gets locked in into your cell. And so what you think matters. How you think makes a difference. What you talk about has an impact on your life. What you watch, your activities. You are what you think and what you do.